what mistakes do you see teachers making in their applications?
Okay, so the mistakes that I most commonly see relate back to those 5 things that I talked about. And it's really seeing, resumes that are not optimized for the ATS. So they're using templates from Canva, which look really pretty, but they don't translate when the data is taken from them into these systems. So they're not getting ranked in the system. They're also focusing on the tasks and responsibilities that they had in each of their roles. They're not talking about the impact that they made in school. They're not showing how they have that standing out as a teacher. Extracurricular, what are they doing going above and beyond? So I think that, if they focus on those 5 areas that I talked about, and which is, pretty simple to implement, easy to do. We've laid it out step by step to make it as easy as possible. And I think that if teachers do that, they will avoid many of the common mistakes.
I could add to that as well. A real simple one is if it's longer than 2 pages, you're wasting your time and you're wasting the time of the recruiters. They won't read it. And if you're putting every job you've ever had, especially if you're older like me, and you put down every job that you've ever had with a detailed list of everything that you ever did, that's why it's longer than 2 pages to begin with. You don't need to do that. It's the last 3 jobs, possibly the last 2 jobs, that are really going to count. But obviously, it needs to tell the story of you without going into minute detail. You really want to sell the bits of you that are the best. And resumes, and this is what people don't realise, resumes should be exactly like cover letters, which means and in some cases your LinkedIn profile as well, you want to customise it to the job that you're going for. And so therefore, if you're currently going for a school, then your resume should reflect their vision and values that they've got listed on their website in your description of yourself. So if they're really interested in science, then you're all about science, and a lot of the things, all the bits of your best things you've ever done should go to the science elements, even if that's not been your number one thing in your life. If you want to go to that school, you need to align yourself to the school's values.
I think a big thing that teachers do, and that I see, is that they do not customize their application. They fire off, which we call it the spray theory, where they just fire off the same generic resume and cover letter to every single job that they see advertised. And that's not showing your commitment to working at that school. You're much better off picking 1, 2, even I would say maximum 3 schools, really diving deep. First of all, figuring out and writing a resume and a cover letter specifically for those schools. In the cover letter and the resume, you need to have the keywords from that school that they use in the position description, the language that they use on the website. What is their focus on, their vision, their mission, their values? Adapt it specifically for those schools. And then also, as well as that, you have to network, and without asking for a job, but build a network, start building relationships with those schools. That is how you get the amazing job, not by firing off 100 resumes that are all the same.
Oh, and can I just add one massive one? Incorrect spelling is a death sentence. Grammar is also really frowned upon. And remember, when they talk about, people who are really nerdy about spelling and grammar, they're often teachers, and they're often in leadership now. So it's the quickest way to get your resume into the circular file drawer. It's to misspell the name of the school or something like that. You really be careful with your editing of your resumes.
That's allowed me to come in on a question that I'd had previously down. Is Staffroom for non-native English speaking teachers? And if so, that's a different market and a different support system in a way, isn't it, required for that?
I think it's incredibly disappointing that in the international schooling system that we even have the terminology of non-native and native English speakers as part of the recruitment. We We will not support schools who recruit for non-native English speakers, because we think it's just incredibly unfair to the countries that aren't considered a native English speaker. And the history of it is so incredibly bad and complex, but I think it's just coded racism in the end. And I think there are many great teachers, and I've worked with plenty of them, who have excellent English skills, but would be considered non-native simply by the fact of where they were born. So we do everything we can. We try and do everything possible to support non-native. We're trying to get, we work with every organisation that we find that tries to take the language out of the recruitment process. We've seen that agencies are starting to change some of that language as well, but we always encourage agencies to, everyone's got to be part of the solution of this. And one of the things that we can do is help non-native English craft a resume and an application that gets them through some of the barriers to their application. Unfortunately, it's not always going to work, but we do feel like we can help them get past some of the coded racism that's in the industry.